Alright guys, moto friends and family, regular friends and family, whoever's watching this video, this is going to be my first actual moto vlog, and I guess I'm going to do it on lane filtering and lane splitting and what I think about them. We're in Oklahoma right now. I want to do a little bit of background on me. Born and raised in Minnesota, lived there for 40 years. Moved down to Oklahoma here about 10 years ago. Yes, that makes me 50 years old. Been riding motorcycles pretty much all my life. Obviously started on dirt bikes and went from there. I just recently, in the last couple of years, really got interested in sport bikes again. I'm actually on an RSV4 right now that I picked up not long ago and kind of fixed it up. She had some damage. She is for sale. I'm starting to like it more and more the more I ride it, and the more I do to it. I think once I get the suspension all ironed out, she might not be for sale anymore. But anyway, ridden all kinds of bikes, like I said, all brands, all styles. I've had your biggest bagger cruiser you can buy. I've had Softails, Sporties, Hondas cruisers, Shadows, VTXs, Honda sport bikes. Still got my CBR 1000. All sorts of dirt bikes, all different brands. Only thing I really haven't ridden much is an ADV bike. I'd really like to get an Africa Twin, but finances kind of limit how many bikes you can have. So, anyway, that's me. So now you can kind of go from there. Living in Oklahoma. Let's just say both lane filtering and lane splitting in Oklahoma is illegal, except for I did read in one spot, if there is construction and it's down to one lane and there's a lot of traffic, they feel it's safer for a motorcycle to take the shoulder and ride on the shoulder slowly, but you can go past all the cars that are stopped in a row. So that's the only situation where I've read where they're okay with it at all, any sort of lane type infractions or whatever you want to call them. So anyway, let's start with lane splitting. Well, let's talk about the differences. Lane filtering is basically when you're coming up to a stoplight and you're in town and there's a whole bunch of traffic. Cars behind you, cars ahead of you. You pull up to the stoplight. Why is there a light on my dash? Oh, it's because I got my traction control shut off. Anyway, so you pull up to a stoplight and you've got cars sitting there, say 5-6 cars lined up in each lane, and it's a red light and there's tons of cars coming behind you. You slow down to a reasonable speed, say 5 miles an hour, make sure your bike will fit, and you go between the cars and put yourself at the front of the line at the stoplight. The reasoning for this is to protect yourself from getting rear-ended on a motorcycle, which obviously getting rear-ended on a motorcycle is way more dangerous and worse than getting hit in a car. Pretty easy to get killed on a motorcycle if you get rear-ended. So that's what lane filtering is, and if it's done properly, I feel that it should be legal everywhere, just because of safety. Now, does it piss people off in cars? It doesn't seem to really, unless you go flying by them. But if you're just going through at a really nice slow pace, it doesn't seem to bother them because you're not hurting them at all, slowing them down or anything. So I really think it should be legalized everywhere. Now, lane splitting. Lane splitting is when you're on the highway doing 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, whatever the speed limit may be, and you decide that there's cars ahead of you, they're side by side, and you don't want to wait for them and you go between them. That's dangerous, in my opinion. You're going at a high rate of speed. These cars are paying attention to where they're going at a high rate of speed too. They might not see you and they might cut you off and cut in front of you. and you're going at a high enough rate of speed where you get hit there, you're going down. And if it's bad enough traffic, you could get run over. I mean, you could slide underneath another vehicle. You can watch all sorts of videos of that kind of stuff. Lane splitting, I do not feel should be done and should be completely illegal. Way too dangerous for the biker and anyone else that's on the road. Sorry if I had my shield open there and it was noisy. Now, I'm going to bring up an example of a kid I saw in Broken Arrow in Tulsa, in the Tulsa area. Broken Arrow is basically a suburb of Tulsa. He came flying by me. We were in a 45 and he came flying by me, probably doing 60, 70 miles an hour. No, I shouldn't say he was a kid. He was fully geared up. I couldn't tell for sure. But he comes flying by me, and and he flies up to a stoplight. There's a couple semis at the stoplight, a few cars. All the lanes are full. He pulls in the middle like he's going to filter in the middle of the lanes, and I thought, oh, he's going to filter, and it doesn't bother me. That's fine. And he slowed down, so I mean, he was probably going to do it right, but he didn't. He stopped, which is 90% of the time what I will do is stop in the middle of the lanes. So if a car does come sliding up, not paying attention, hopefully they hit the car that I'm sitting next to, not hit me. So he's sitting there, and I pull up basically off to the left of him behind him. Light turns green, and everyone takes off. And he gets going about 35, 40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden he just pins the throttle and starts splitting traffic. And now, neither one of them are right here, but the car that was like basically next to him tried to speed up and block him from being able to split too. And they were within inches of hitting each other. I don't think the guy on the bike on the bike even realized it, because he was paying attention ahead and thought he had cleared the car. So it could have been really bad. Luckily, the motorcycle was way too quick for the car. Nothing happened. But that situation was a very close call. It creates road rage in other people. I mean, it's not a safe act. Now, lane filtering, on the other hand, you're sitting in a major traffic jam. You're a sitting duck on a motorcycle. Not to mention, motorcycles don't have the cooling that cars do for their engines, so they can overheat and burn down the engine. Now you're stuck in the middle of traffic. Oh, that was nice. Forgot to downshift because I'm talking. Anyway, now you're sitting in traffic. You guys can laugh at me. That's fine. Probably the first time I've done that in years, but anyway. So now you're sitting in traffic with a dead motorcycle. And anybody that knows anything about getting motorcycles towed, most wrecking companies don't have a decent way to haul a motorcycle, and usually they damage them. You can look up videos on that too. It's not good. So the filtering is supposed to help the engine stay cool on the motorcycle because it keeps moving. It gets you out of harm's way, and it really kind of speeds up traffic too, because people aren't waiting for you, because motorcycles are a lot quicker in traffic than cars are. Now, let's talk about the legality of it. The only place I know where it's legal to lane filter, and I'm not sure about splitting, but lane filtering is legal that I know of for sure, is California. And California's got studies proving that it's actually helped with the number of motorcyclists that have been injured in accidents. So, since they passed the law that made it legal. So I mean, that's basically what I feel on the two. I know Oklahoma, they've tried to get it passed here. Does Oklahoma really need it? Not really, because like I said, they've got the law where if it's road construction, so if there's a traffic jam due to road construction, you're good. And the traffic in Oklahoma isn't that bad. I mean, you'll get some times where it's jammed up a little bit, but it's not that bad. And to be honest with you, I've lane filtered before and pulled up next to a cop, and he just looked over and smiled at me, because I didn't come flying through there like an idiot. I did it slow and safe, and they understand why you do it. as long as you're being safe, they're probably not going to nail you for it unless they have nothing better to do and want to run your license and make sure you're legal, which that's their job. I have no problem with that either. So, and I did something illegal. I deserve to get pulled over, right? Anyway, Minnesota now, on the other hand, Minneapolis-St. Paul has some crazy traffic. Very dangerous for motorcyclists. I feel that up there, it should be legal to lane filter, just because I feel it would be safer. Now, most of Minnesota, it's small towns, so I mean, you generally don't need it. But the couple towns that are big, and they have a ton of traffic. So, that's my, trying to turn my traction control back on so that it, that light goes off. Anyway, so I feel Minnesota really does need it. I'm going to apologize again. I'm not used to talking and riding, so I'm kind of fumbling around here. But I mean, I don't think it would hurt for the whole United States to really have it, but it needs to be enforced. And these people that think that they're on motorcycles and they can just do whatever they want because it is legal need to get nailed for it. Now, the problem is a lot of them that do it and are being stupid will try to run too. A page I'm on Facebook has really opened up my eyes to the stupidity of some of the bikers out there. I mean, example. The other day a guy posts the penalty for running from the cops on your motorcycle. And it was 2 to 12 years of prison time. Not possible. It was 2 to 12 years you're going to get if you run and you're charged with evading a police officer on your motorcycle, if you get caught. And then the fines were astronomical too. And I can't remember what state that was in, but he posted on there and he's like, what the bleep is up with this bleep? Who makes these bleeping laws? And he's all upset because he thinks he should be able to run from the cops and not and be fine. So why do you think breaking the law is okay? In any situation, really, but I'm talking about motorcycles here. So why is breaking the law okay? It's not. You don't break the law. And if you do break the law, like I do sometimes when I lane filter or when I speed or whatever, you pull over and you take your medicine. I mean, you broke the law. That's the only reason the cop's trying to pull you over. Now, do cops pull you over just because? Sure they do. I've been pulled over millions of times just because. Do cops have attitude sometimes when they pull you over just because? You betcha. Especially if you're young. If you have long hair, I've had long hair. I mean, obviously, we don't need to go into the whole Black Lives Matter stuff and everything, but I mean, they do profile. And people know that. Cops do profile. And that's kind of part of their training, that they're supposed to kind of pay attention for something suspicious. The problem is that they get too much of the same thing, so then they profile that everybody that has that is bad. You know, so I'm just going to use long hair as an example. Long hair people, long hair guys generally are bad news, right? At least they used to be thought of that way, especially back in the 80s and 90s. But I also found when I had my long hair, as long as I was polite, treated them with respect, by the time the stop was over, generally, I was treated with respect too. And a lot of times, I mean, I've been pulled over on motorcycle. A friend and I got pulled over here a couple weeks ago. We were doing 75 and a 55. It was on a 4-lane road. We honestly didn't know what the speed limit was. We figured it was at least 65, but it wasn't. It was 55. We came up over an overpass, and there were two cops sitting in the median, and right away their cherries came on, and they came after us. Both of them did. And we pulled over. Both of us are older. They pull up on us, and we have our helmets on, and right away they're asking for our license and insurance and all that stuff. And we pull our helmets off, and right away they smile. Now, we're older guys. We're pretty clean cut. Why do you think they smiled? Because right away they profiled us, but in a good way. They're like, oh, we got some old guys that like riding sport bikes. They're not the kids that we thought they were. Their tags are up to date. Oh, they both have insurance. They're just out enjoying the ride. We didn't get a ticket. We didn't even get a written warning. We just got a warning, and we sat and talked to them for half an hour and laughed, and these were younger cops. So they rode motorcycle too. It was actually a great experience. Now, they told us while we were talking to them, we expected you guys to run. And that's part of the fun, is chasing. So, and they said, seeing your bikes up close now, we would have never caught you if you would have decided to run, they said, because my buddy's on his ZX14, I'm on my RSV4. I mean, they're both 200 mile an hour bikes, or close to it. I mean, the speedometers probably will say 200. They're probably not actually quite doing it. But a cop car is not going to keep up. Especially these were both sport utility police vehicles. Can they radio? Sure. But a lot of times they're not going to pursue because it's too dangerous at that high a speed. So they're going to let you just go. But they wanted to... Man, this thing. They wanted to see. And then they wanted, if we did pull over, they wanted to see if we had insurance, because they said most of these kids don't have insurance, you know. So we were profiled. But it was all good because we treated them with respect. Now, my same friend got pulled over the next day. What for? Riding a wheelie on his ZX14 and got up to almost 100 miles an hour doing it. In, I believe it was a 45. There was no one else around. The cop saw him. The cop pulled him over, saw how old he was, kind of smiled, gave him a ticket, but lowered the ticket way down to like 10 over the speed limit. Didn't give him a ticket for the wheelie. Just kind of laughed about it, and they talked for a while too. Now, did he deserve the ticket? Sure as shit he did. I mean, he did it. He was illegal, and he knew it, and he pulled over. And what happened? The cop let him off easy because he treated him with respect, and he got respect back. So, I don't know, we kind of got off on a tangent here that is a little bit off of what we were talking about. We were kind of talking about legal and illegal stuff on motorcycle once we were talking about filtering and stuff. But as you can see, it's really all about respect. Other than that, I mean, I have never gotten a ticket on a motorcycle on the street, which is crazy because in my younger days, I was crazy. I'd ride wheelies down the highway. I'd 60, 70 miles an hour riding a wheelie. Stand up on my seat going down the highway. All the stuff that the stunters do nowadays. Maybe not quite as much stuff as they do nowadays because they figured out a bunch more stuff, but a lot of stuff that they do. But back in my day, we didn't have the video cameras and stuff, so nobody really knew we were doing it other than people that saw us doing it. Because we'd do it when a car would go by, you know, whatever, shake our ass at them, standing up on our seat. You know, jumping things, doing stupid stuff. But never got a ticket. Always treated the cops with respect. Let's get back to what we were talking about before, though. Lane filtering and lane splitting. My feelings on it: lane filtering, good thing, done right. Can't be stupid about it. Lane splitting, not so much. I mean, there may be some situations where, okay, it might be okay, but do you need to do it when you're doing 70 miles an hour? Just because you want to go 80? Lane splitting to me, no. Should not be allowed. Illegal. But lane filtering, I think it should be allowed everywhere. But it needs to be done right And same thing, it needs to be done with respect. Slow, careful, don't bump the cars, don't fly by them, because, you know, you never know. A car driver might open their door to spit something out, you know, and you're flying by them, you're going to take their door off and crash and possibly hurt them. So you need to be doing it slow. You need to be watching, paying attention. Like I said, splitting, no. Stupid. But that's my first motovlog. Hopefully they get better and I don't go off on these tangents. But hopefully you enjoy it. Watch my other videos, like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff. Trying to do a lot more fun stuff, a lot better stuff, just all sorts of different things. Just kind of get crazy sometimes, but we're gonna do this. I'm gonna actually start a Facebook page under my Leader Plus account, so that I can post all my videos there, and my friends, I don't have to over hit them with videos all the time on my regular page. So that's it. Adopt, don't shop, and take care.